I'm so happy and so encouraged by these strong sentiments felt by the Thai society for this issue and these sentiments for an early resolution of this long-standing issue, this long-standing dispute. I would also like to thank Dr. Abda Rafiq for being here today and for sharing her personal experience, the tragedies her family went through over the past 7 decades. And I would also like to thank you, Mr. Ilham Saleh, for being such an amazing host and such an amazing MC. The Kashmir conflict, one of the longest running and most contentious issues in the world, marked by decades of political strife, violence, and human rights abuses, is awaiting the world community's attention for justice. Over the past 7 decades, like pointed out by the speakers before me, Kashmiris have suffered unprecedented human rights abuses, including mass killings and forced disappearances, torture, rape, sexual abuse, political repression, and suppression of freedom of speech under the draconian Central Reserve Police Force and Border Security Force. The occupying Indian armed forces have drawn severe criticism from human rights organizations both domestically and internationally for their role in exacerbating the conflict and infringing upon the civil liberties of Kashmiri people. The Armed Forces Special Powers Act and Public Safety Act provide legal cover to the brutal Indian Army for its unlawful activities in Jammu and Kashmir. Many human rights activists and Kashmiri journalists have been put behind the bars for advocating Kashmiri's right to self-determination. Recently, the Institute of Kashmir Studies in Srinagar published an extensive report of testimonies titled Dark Days, Deadly Nights, which was reprinted by the Legal Forum for Kashmir, detailing the horrifying experiences of Kashmiri civilians who became victims of violent crimes committed by the Indian occupying forces. The Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, the United Nations Human Rights Council, and international human rights organizations have produced extensive documentation of Indian atrocities in the occupied valley. The most significant among them is the UN Human Rights Council 2018 report, which highlights the widespread violation of human rights in Kashmir Valley caused by disproportionate use of force by the Indian security personnel, especially India's National Investigation Agency, NIA, to silence Kashmiri's voice. In this dark backdrop, the Indian government is trying to create a semblance of normalcy in the Indian occupied Kashmir by hosting international conferences such as G20 meeting and shooting Bollywood movies in the valley. Thus, the Indian cinema is being used for dehumanizing Kashmiri freedom fighters through propaganda movies such as the Kashmir Files, Prithvi Raj, Panipat, and Kerala Story. The Indian media itself reported incidents of violence against Muslims increased manifold after release of the film Kashmir Files. Many countries around the world have already banned this movie because of its controversial nature. Since the revocation of Article 370 of Indian Constitution in August 2019, the special status of the state of Jammu and Kashmir has been abolished, and every aspect of life for Kashmiri people has become under assault by the BJP government. A series of steps, administrative, demographic, and electoral, have been taken to disempower and disenfranchise the people of Kashmir and alter the Muslim identity of Kashmir. Several of these actions mimicked Israeli settlers' policies in occupied Palestine, such as demographic changes through revised domicile rules, settling large number of outsiders in the occupied valley, and giving non-residents the right to vote. During the recently held elections in the Indian occupied Kashmir, a Kashmiri protester, human rights activist, Mr. Abdul Rashid Sheikh, a fierce opponent of abrogation of Article 370, won elections and defeated the former Chief Minister Umar Abdullah. So you can very well imagine the sentiments in the occupied valley. The plight of Kashmiris is a call to the conscience of the world to stand up for peace, justice, and fundamental rights of the people of Kashmir. Only through concerted efforts and genuine dialogue can we hope to bring an end to their suffering and pave the way for a future where Kashmiris can live with dignity and freedom.